The storm hit before Arden could blink. Lightning tore across the dark sky of Zithra 9, shivering through the metal hull of his small scout ship. He slammed the controls to the side, but the wind ripped the ship like paper. Alarms screamed. Red lights pulsed. Heat and fear ran down his spine, but Arden didn't freeze. He yanked the emergency lever, ejecting the cockpit hatch just before the ship crashed into the jagged cliffs below. He hit the rocky ground hard, rolling to break his fall. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he forced himself up. He could hear the groaning of metal, the hiss of escaping air, and something else, a low, almost musical hum vibrating through the rocks. Arden squinted through the rain. There, among the jagged peaks, a figure moved. It was not human. Not anything he had ever seen. The creature was enormous, at least twice his height, with limbs that bent in strange angles and skin that shimmered like liquid silver. Its eyes glowed faintly, and it limped as if wounded. Arden's pulse jumped. His first thought was to run, but another part of him, the part that had survived countless missions, told him this was not a random encounter. This being was in trouble. "Hey," he called out, raising his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature froze, tilting its head. Arden stepped closer, despite the mud sucking at his boots. Each step was calculated, slow, careful. He glanced at the shipwreck, at the sparks rising from its core, and then back at the alien. The energy readings from his scanner went wild, pulse patterns he couldn't identify resonating like a heartbeat but larger, more complex. The storm struck again, harder. Lightning flashed, illuminating the alien fully. Arden froze. Its skin rippled with colors, forming patterns that made no sense to him, like a language written in light. He had only seconds. If he waited, the next lightning strike could kill them both. He ran, skidding across the mud, and grabbed the creature's forelimb. It recoiled, but Arden held on. "Trust me," he shouted, though he wasn't sure the alien understood. He tugged it toward the small ridge where the wreckage could provide cover. The alien stumbled, falling against Arden, and for a brief heartbeat he felt its weight, its raw strength. Arden adjusted, using his own balance to shield it from falling rocks. When they reached the ridge, he let go just enough to measure its response. The creature didn't attack. It only shook, breathing through what looked like small vents on its chest. Arden's heart hammered. He had never felt relief like this before. He scanned the creature again. Its markings glowed brighter now, forming shapes he recognized from star charts, a constellation he had studied as a child. Arden's mind raced. This wasn't random. This creature was trying to communicate or guide him, somehow. Then the ground trembled. The cliff beneath the wrecked ship cracked, spewing sparks and molten rock. Arden looked up. The energy surge from the ship was spreading, and the storm seemed to feed it. If he didn't act fast, the whole ridge could collapse. He grabbed a makeshift rope from his pack and tied it around a sturdy outcrop. "Hold on," he said, more to himself than the creature. He lashed the alien's limbs to the rope, improvising a harness. Step by step, he inched it toward safer ground, dodging lightning strikes and falling stones. Once they were clear, Arden leaned against a rock, catching his breath. He glanced at the alien. Its body shimmered faintly, almost thanking him, though he knew it couldn't speak in his language. Arden felt a pang of empathy. This being was far from home, alone, and hurt. He had a choice: leave it, call for help, or risk more to protect it. Arden didn't hesitate. "Come on," he muttered. He pulled a small medkit from his pack and began patching the creature's wounds as best he could. Its skin was warm under his hands, pulsing faintly with light. Arden's fingers trembled, not with fear but with awe. He realized this was more than survival. This was first contact in its rawest form. Suddenly, a pulse of energy shot from the alien, slamming Arden back. Sparks flew from the rocks and he felt his chest burn from the shock. The alien's glow intensified, swirling into shapes and symbols Arden couldn't decipher. Then, in a blink, it quieted. Arden gasped, heart racing. The storm had stopped just as abruptly as it had begun, leaving a silence so deep it pressed against his ears. Arden looked up. The alien's eyes now glowed like twin suns. Its body shifted, revealing a hidden compartment, a star map etched into its surface. Arden's stomach dropped. He didn't understand its meaning, but he knew one thing. This was a message. And whatever it meant, it wasn't just for him. A shadow moved in the distance, something large, faster than the eye could track. Arden froze. His mind raced. Was it another creature? Something hunting them? He glanced at the alien, who tensed beside him, its glow flaring. Arden gritted his teeth. He had no time to wonder. He had to act. He grabbed the alien's arm. "We move now," he shouted. Together, human and alien, they sprinted toward the next ridge, the unknown waiting ahead, and Arden felt a strange thrill. Whatever was coming, he realized, would test every ounce of courage he had. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The shadow loomed closer and Arden's heart sank. Whatever was out there, it was not friendly. Arden's hands shook as he keyed the communicator. Sparks from the crash still licked the edges of the ridge, and the alien beside him quivered with every sound. He barely had time to process the creature's strange pulse map before the storm's remnants began collapsing the cliffs around them. Terran Command, this is Scout Ship Voss 11, he barked. I've encountered an unknown life form on Zithra 9. Planetary energy readings are unstable, hazard level critical. Immediate response requested. Static. Nothing. He repeated the message faster, sharper. Command, do you copy? Still silence. The scanner beeped with warnings. Arden's jaw tightened. Command ignored him, probably thinking it was just another false alarm. Arden cursed under his breath. Bureaucracy could wait. Survival could not. He glanced at the alien. Its limbs twitched, glowing faintly in response to his tone. Arden understood instinctively, it recognized danger. Without hesitation, he hauled it toward his damaged ship. Mud sucked at his boots, lightning cracked above, and every step was a fight. He reached the hull and pried open the hatch with shaking hands. Inside, the ship's systems flickered weakly. We're not waiting for anyone else, he muttered, fastening the alien in the cockpit with whatever restraints would keep it safe but unharmed. It hissed softly, a sound like wind through glass, and Arden flinched. He adjusted the harness, speaking calmly. I won't let anything happen to you. The engines groaned as he brought the ship online. Sparks flew from the exposed circuits. Arden hit the throttle and the ship lurched forward. The alien stiffened, glowing brighter, almost as if warning him. Arden's eyes flicked to the scanners. Massive energy readings were converging toward them from the planet's core. If they didn't move fast, the ridge would collapse entirely. He pushed the ship through the thick storm. Mud and rain lashed the cockpit window. The alien's glow pulsed in rhythm with the energy spikes Arden could barely interpret. It was like a heartbeat of the planet, but uneven, wild, dangerous. Arden realized they were riding a living pulse that could tear the world apart beneath their feet. Then, on the scanner, movement. Fast, precise, and deliberate. Another ship, alien, cloaked, its shape impossible to define, was approaching. Arden froze. Its trajectory matched theirs perfectly. He could either accelerate blindly and risk colliding with it or attempt a risky evasive maneuver. Arden chose action over fear. He banked sharply, dodging a jagged spire, and fired a low-intensity disruptor to mask their energy signature. The alien hissed, its body thrumming with energy. Arden realized it was reacting to his actions, almost guiding him, giving subtle pulses to help him navigate. He felt a strange mix of awe and responsibility. They were partners now, relying on instinct and courage rather than protocol. Minutes felt like hours as the alien ship matched their pace, shadowing them through the storm. Arden's heart raced. Every instinct screamed danger, yet there was a pattern in its movements, a recognition, almost respect. Arden took a gamble. He activated a small thruster flare from the wreckage below, creating a distraction. The alien ship veered, scanning, then retreated briefly, leaving them momentarily alone. Arden exhaled, tension clawing at his chest. He glanced at the alien. Its glow had dimmed, almost exhausted, but its eyes remained focused. Arden tapped into the creature's pulse again, aligning his scanner with its rhythm. The strange light patterns formed more coherent shapes. Arden gasped. Star formations, coordinates. They pointed to a location in the system's outer rim. Something hidden. Something urgent. Suddenly the communicator buzzed. Not command. Not human. A voice, synthetic alien, crackled through. You were saved once. Now the debt must be repaid. Arden's blood ran cold. How did they know? Was it the alien? The planet? Something older watching. He turned the ship toward the coordinates, overriding damaged controls. Sparks flew. The alien hissed and flared its light. Arden realized it was warning him. The path ahead would not be safe. But he refused to back down. Survival was never about waiting for permission. It was about courage. As they left the storm behind, a shadow streaked across the sky ahead. Something massive, faster than anything Arden had ever seen. The ship shuddered violently as it passed, and the alien pressed against his side, almost panicked. Arden gritted his teeth. Whatever it wasn't natural, and it wasn't just a coincidence. He checked the scanners again. The energy readings from the planet were spiking wildly. If he didn't reach the coordinates in time, the pulses could collapse the entire planetary ridge. Arden's chest tightened. Every choice from here on would have consequences far beyond his understanding. He set the autopilot toward the glowing points the alien projected and tightened his grip on the controls. "We move fast," he muttered. His mind raced, calculating distances, energy spikes, and unknown threats. The alien pulsed rhythmically, almost encouraging him, a silent partner in impossible odds. Arden had no map, no allies, no guarantee, but he had determination. Then the shadow returned. Closer. Faster. And this time it wasn't passing, they were being followed. Arden's stomach dropped. He glanced at the alien, whose glow flared wildly, signaling urgent danger. Arden's mind clicked into overdrive. Whatever waited ahead, it wasn't just the storm. It wasn't just the planet. It was something far larger, something aware, something that had been watching them from the first moment they landed. And now it had noticed them. Arden swallowed hard, feeling fear and resolve clash inside him. He whispered almost to himself, "We'll survive this. We have to." The ship lurched violently. Sensors screamed. And in the distance, a massive silhouette began to emerge from the planet's shadow. Bigger than any ship, more advanced than any threat he had faced. Arden's heart hammered. He tightened his grip on the controls. There was no turning back. Arden's stomach twisted as the massive silhouette drew closer. It was impossible to define, part ship, part living structure. Its hull shimmered with energy patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat, and shadows moved along its surface as if it had its own consciousness. The alien at his side stiffened, its glow flaring in panic. Arden's heart raced. Every instinct screamed danger, but he forced his mind into focus. The ship's damaged scanners flickered uselessly. Arden had no data, no backup, just the alien and his wits. He glanced at the glowing patterns on the creature's body. Each pulse seemed to point toward openings on the massive structure. Arden's mind clicked. The alien was trying to communicate. It wasn't just a companion, it was a guide. He adjusted the ship's thrusters and angled toward a faint corridor of light on the silhouette. Sparks flew as the engines protested. The alien's glow intensified, synchronizing with Arden's movements, almost guiding him like a living compass. Arden clenched his teeth. "We'll do this together," he said, voice steady despite the fear curling in his gut. As they neared, a shockwave rippled from the massive structure. The ship lurched violently, throwing Arden against the console. Alarms blared. He pressed his palm to the alien, feeling its energy pulse in rhythm with the structure. Each pulse revealed more shapes, angles, weak points, a pattern in chaos. Arden's fingers flew across the controls. He had no time for fear. Every second mattered. The opening appeared, a vast bay shimmering with unknown energy. Arden nudged the ship forward, relying on the alien's guidance. The bay's energy rippled outward like a net, scanning, probing. Arden held his breath. The alien's glow dimmed suddenly as if exhausted, and Arden realized it had sacrificed its own energy to protect him from detection. He muttered, "I won't let you down," and pushed the ship through the last stretch. The massive structure's energy hummed, deep and resonant, almost as if it were alive. Arden felt the vibration through his chest. The ship's hull groaned under the strain, but he held course. Inside the bay, the ship's systems flared to life unexpectedly. Screens lit up with alien symbols. Arden had no time to understand them fully, but one detail caught his eye: holographic images of humans. Not just any humans, figures in Terran uniforms, faces familiar from history, archived footage, all appearing as if they had been saved before. Arden's eyes widened. "They remembered us," he whispered, voice shaking. "All of us. Humans. Saved once, and now." His fingers trembled over the controls. This was bigger than survival. This was legacy. Something ancient had watched over humanity quietly for decades, maybe centuries. Suddenly, the bay doors slammed shut behind him and the ship shook violently. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed in his mind, not over the communicator. "Human, why have you come?" Arden froze. His pulse thundered. He had no idea if it was conscious, intelligent, or hostile. The alien beside him pulsed weakly but steadily, aligning its light with his thoughts. Arden realized it was trying to translate, bridge the gap between them and the massive entity. He drew in a shaky breath. Logic over fear. Instinct over hesitation. "We mean no harm," he whispered aloud, hoping the voice could hear human words. "We only seek understanding and survival." The structure vibrated, energy lines dancing across its hull. The holographic humans flickered, then stabilized, showing one image clearly: a Terran captain extending a hand toward a strange alien form. Arden's stomach twisted. That image, familiar, heroic, was the same moment he had read about in Terran archives. Humans saved by unknown forces. They had been part of something far larger all along. Then a sudden jolt threw him sideways. The massive structure's energy surged, forming a swirling field that began locking onto his ship. Arden's heart leapt. He had triggered a defense mechanism. If he didn't act fast, the bay could collapse, trapping them, or worse. He glanced at the alien. It pulsed urgently, almost commanding him. Arden's mind raced. He studied the patterns again, the star map etched into its skin. Coordinates, energy flows, weak points. Arden understood. Improvisation was humanity's greatest weapon. He angled the ship to align with the energy pulses, riding the resonance instead of fighting it. Sparks flew, lights blinked wildly, and for a tense heartbeat, everything held. The bay doors hissed open suddenly, revealing an inner chamber bathed in blue-white light. Ancient machinery, massive in scale, hummed as if alive. And at the center, a pedestal with a glowing orb hovered, radiating energy that made the alien pulse violently. Arden swallowed. He realized this was the core, something the structure protected at all costs. As he approached, the shadow from outside reappeared, moving faster than before. Arden's stomach sank. It wasn't just guarding the structure. It was a predator or a sentinel, aware of his intrusion. Arden gritted his teeth, adrenaline surging. He had a choice: retreat and risk never understanding, or move forward and face the unknown with nothing but courage, intelligence, and the alien beside him. He glanced at the creature, then back at the orb. "We can do this," he muttered. "We have to." His hands tightened on the controls, every calculation, every instinct focused. He had no guarantee, only resolve. Suddenly the orb's light flared violently, washing the bay in a blinding glow. Arden shielded his eyes. The alien screamed, a sound like wind through crystal. And in that flash, the massive structure itself seemed to shift, bending reality around him. Arden's stomach dropped. The world inside the bay was changing, warping, alive, and aware of him. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of history, destiny, and responsibility crash down. This was no longer a survival mission. This was humanity stepping into a story much bigger than itself. Arden clenched his jaw, ready for whatever came next. Then the orb pulsed one final time, and a doorway of pure energy opened in front of him, leading deeper into the unknown. Arden's eyes widened. Whatever lay beyond, it would test him, the alien, and all of humanity. Arden's hands shook, but he didn't hesitate. The doorway of pure energy stretched before him, humming like a living heartbeat. He glanced at the alien. Its glow pulsed fiercely, almost daring him forward. He took a deep breath, shoved the controls, and pushed the ship through. The moment they passed, the world warped around them. Blue-white energy rippled like water, folding space in impossible ways. Arden's stomach lurched, every nerve screaming, but he gritted his teeth. Fear was a tool, not a chain. He focused on the alien beside him. Together they would survive. Inside, the chamber opened into a vast interior, larger than anything Arden had imagined. Towering spires of alien machinery stretched into the distance, glowing with patterns that shifted as if alive. The floor pulsed with energy in rhythmic waves, threatening to throw the ship off balance. Arden's hands moved faster than thought, compensating for turbulence, recalibrating controls that shouldn't have been responding. Yet somehow the ship obeyed. A voice boomed in his mind again, deep and resonant. "Human, your presence is unprecedented." Arden swallowed. His pulse thundered in his ears. "I am here," he whispered aloud. "I seek understanding, and I will not harm." The energy around him flared violently, and the floor beneath the ship cracked. Sparks shot into the air, and the alien shrieked, a sound of warning, fear, and pain. Arden's eyes scanned the chamber. At the center, the glowing orb from before hovered higher, now pulsing like a star. It radiated raw energy, feeding into the spires, powering something immense. Suddenly, shadows twisted along the spires, massive alien sentinels, faster and sharper than any fighter Arden had encountered. They surged toward the ship, weapons pulsing with deadly energy. Arden's heart leapt. There was no room to maneuver. Every choice would be life or death. He glanced at the alien, whose glow synchronized with the orb. A thought struck him. The creature's pulses weren't just signals, they were keys. Arden's eyes widened. If he could match the alien's rhythm with the ship's energy output, he might control the chamber itself, bending its systems to his will. "Hold on," he whispered, heart hammering. He adjusted the controls, matching the pulses. Sparks flew, the ship groaned, and the Sentinels paused mid-charge, confused, their weapons misfiring. Arden felt a surge of hope. The alien flared, its light brighter than ever, and the orb responded, its energy spiraling in rhythm with theirs. The ship shook violently as the chamber reacted. Energy waves rippled outward, sending Sentinels tumbling, their forms destabilizing. Arden's pulse raced, sweat dripping down his face. Every calculation, every instinct, every ounce of courage mattered now. One wrong move and they would be torn apart. The alien screeched sharply, and Arden realized it was directing him toward the orb. "We have to reach it," he muttered. He angled the ship, dodging collapsing spires, weaving through energy beams. The orb pulsed violently, almost like a heartbeat, as if aware of his presence. Arden's stomach twisted. The chamber itself was alive and it was testing him. Then from the shadows, the massive silhouette from the planet's surface appeared inside the chamber. It had followed them. Now it loomed above the orb, a predator challenging him. Arden's eyes narrowed. There was no escape. The alien beside him flared one final time, pulsing in a blinding rhythm. Arden synchronized the ship, matching every beat, every pulse, every flicker of light. Energy exploded outward, engulfing the silhouette. Sparks and wind roared through the chamber. Arden gritted his teeth as the ship shook violently, instruments failing, hull cracking. But the alien held steady, guiding him. He pressed forward, reaching the orb. He could feel raw power vibrating through his hands, through the ship, through the alien. Every instinct told him this was the moment to act. With a deep breath, Arden reached out, mentally, physically, instinctively, and touched the orb. Energy surged, feeding into him, into the ship, into the alien. The Sentinels froze, the chamber pulsed, and the massive shadow let out a sound like tearing metal, then vanished, retreating beyond comprehension. Arden's chest burned, heart racing, but he held on. For a heartbeat, silence. The chamber's energy dimmed, the spires stabilized, and the orb hovered calmly. Arden leaned back, breathing hard, staring at the alien. Its glow softened, pulsing faintly, almost in gratitude. Arden realized he had not just survived. He had controlled something far beyond human technology, something ancient, something alive. Then a hum filled the chamber, different this time. A series of holographic symbols appeared in the air, forming a map of the galaxy showing locations, coordinates, and routes unknown to Terran records. Arden's eyes widened. Humans had been part of something far larger all along, but he had unlocked the next piece. A warning pulsed from the holographic map. Arden squinted. One location blinked differently, faster, urgent. The alien pulsed toward it. Arden understood immediately, another threat. Bigger. More dangerous. One that could reach far beyond the galaxy they knew. He swallowed, feeling fear and exhilaration mix. They had survived the chamber, but the universe was not done testing humanity yet. Arden's jaw tightened. Courage, intelligence, determination. These were the only tools he had. And he would use them. He glanced at the alien, whose glow flared in agreement. Together they would continue. Together they would face whatever came next. The chamber doors rumbled, signaling the first stage of a new challenge opening. Arden's pulse surged. He gritted his teeth. Humanity had survived the impossible before. They would do it again. And somewhere in the galaxy, unseen, a distant force had just noticed Arden. The chamber hummed softly now, the energy settling like a tide after a storm. Arden leaned back in the pilot's seat, chest heaving, sweat and grime streaked across his face. The alien beside him pulsed gently, almost content, as if the crisis had passed. But Arden knew better. Survival was only the first step. Understanding, connection, legacy, that was the true challenge. He studied the holographic galaxy map. Every blink, every pulsing coordinate represented a call, a warning, a hope. And there, far across the system, blinking urgently, was the location the alien had highlighted before. Arden's eyes narrowed. Something, or someone, needed them. He had survived the chamber, defeated the Sentinels, and unlocked the orb's secrets, but the galaxy still demanded action. He took a deep breath, shaking off exhaustion. The alien's glow brightened, reaching toward his hand. Arden understood instinctively. The creature was not just a companion. It had guided him, protected him, and now it offered something greater. Knowledge, trust, a bond that went beyond words. Arden touched it, feeling the pulse, the star map, the centuries of understanding embedded in its being. He realized they were partners in something vast, something older than humanity itself. The communicator buzzed suddenly. A familiar Terran frequency but amplified, urgent. VOS 11. This is the Terran High Command. All units, all captains, respond immediately. We've detected an anomaly of unknown origin, planet scale, energy readings off the charts. Command requires every Terran vessel in range. Arden's pulse quickened. The call was clear. Every captain was responding to the galaxy's danger, because of him. He smiled faintly. Years ago humans had been saved, guided, protected. Now the galaxy had turned the favor. Arden realized the legacy of courage and empathy wasn't just a story, it was a pattern. Humanity, even in its smallest missions, shone brighter than any alien intelligence had expected. The alien pulsed once, sharply, then aligned with Arden's own heartbeat. Together they projected the orb's energy outward, broadcasting the chamber's knowledge into the galaxy. Coordinates, safe paths, danger zones, all of it transmitted, a silent warning to every Terran captain, every explorer, every human in reach. Arden understood fully, humans weren't just survivors, they were guardians and the galaxy had noticed. The ship's systems hummed steadily now. Arden glanced outside. The chamber doors had opened fully, revealing a sky streaked with alien constellations, glowing nebulae and distant stars. A wave of emotion hit him, pride, awe, fear, hope, all tangled together. The alien beside him pulsed, responding to the orbiting patterns of the galaxy. Arden whispered softly, "We did this. Together." Then a flicker of movement caught his eye. Beyond the chamber, a fleet of Terran ships appeared, their engines flaring in unison, responding to the signal. Arden's stomach tightened. Every captain, every vessel, converging on the unknown. They had answered the call. Humans, flawed, daring, courageous, had turned a personal survival mission into a galactic warning. The HFY truth shone. Intelligence, bravery, and empathy weren't just traits. They were survival itself. He watched as the alien ship's energy pulsed in sync with the Terran fleet, guiding them safely through the chamber's hazards. Arden realized the bond he had formed with the creature had a ripple effect across the stars. One human, one choice, one act of courage had set a chain reaction. The galaxy noticed. Humans mattered. Suddenly the orb's light shifted, projecting a new pattern across the chamber walls. Arden leaned closer. Coordinates, symbols, and pulses revealed something even larger. Another system beyond Terran charts, pulsing with life, energy, and mystery. Arden's pulse quickened. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. The galaxy had secrets far beyond the chamber, and humanity would have a role in them. He touched the alien again, feeling the pulse, feeling trust. "We'll keep going," he said softly, determination hardening his voice. "We protect. We guide. We survive. And we'll answer the next call, whatever it is." The alien pulsed sharply in agreement, a bond forged in danger and courage. Arden's chest swelled with pride, not just personal pride, but the pride of every human who had ever faced the impossible and chosen action over fear. As the Terran fleet aligned, Arden keyed the ship's communicator. "All units, this is VOS 11. Proceed with caution. Follow the pulses. The galaxy is alive, and it's calling us forward." His voice carried authority, calmness, and courage. Every captain listened, every pilot adjusted, and every ship responded. Arden had done more than survive. He had inspired an entire fleet to act with purpose, to shine with the human spirit. Outside, the chamber's energy pulsed one last time, forming a bridge into the unknown. Arden stared at it, feeling the weight of destiny settle on his shoulders. Somewhere out there, in the uncharted systems, dangers waited. Threats that would challenge every human principle, every ounce of courage. But Arden smiled, heart steady. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and it would do so again. And in the back of his mind he felt it, the next call, the next challenge waiting just beyond the stars. A mystery larger than any they had faced. Arden tightened his grip on the controls, heart racing, eyes focused. "Let's go," he said to the alien. "Whatever it is, we answer." The stars stretched before them, infinite and alive. And the galaxy waited. The story ends with the galaxy pulsing with new mysteries, a hidden system beckoning, and humans poised to face even greater challenges. Arden and the alien will continue, hinting at a far larger adventure awaiting in the next story.